Welcome to the gauntlet. What is the gauntlet? The gauntlet is designed for sometimes two things, sometimes one thing. One, is it a good EDC design? Two, is it a good EDC steel? So we're going to take steels and designs and run them through the gauntlet of kind of like EDC tasks that I go through. I'm looking for my Cat 5, okay? That I go through to see, or that I've used them for to see, like, is this still going to cut the next day? Do I have to sharpen this every day? Sort of thing. So what I have here is I have Pops Procut. I know the Alpine Hunter is not an EDC design. Definitely not usually in 1/8. You can run it in 1/8. It's fine. But how would Procut stand up to being a EDC steel, I guess is the question, right? Because I am not a fan of low alloy steels. I think that EDC knives should have high alloy contents, high edge retention, high hardness. I don't think ABL, I don't think 52100, I don't think ADCRV2 have any business being in the EDC world. They don't have the wear resistance. So we're gonna run through a whole bunch of tests. So and grab my piece of printer paper. This is going to be our test medium. I find that if you use things like catalog paper, geometry alone can cut through that at times, and you might miss like little chips and stuff, but printer paper is pretty good. So we have our super nice edge here on this, freshly sharpened. Everything will be the same edge angles. It's going to be 18 degrees per side, high grit finish. And so we're going to run through some things and we're just going to see how it does. Our first thing up is zip ties. We're going to cut our zip ties with the tip facing, or I should say the spine of the knife on the piece of EMT. And we're just going to see how this goes through. Hit my knuckle. And that could be, that could be a design flaw right there. And that could be something that we would test, or we would make note of in an EDC steel. So 2. And then we're going to go through, and because of the way that this knife is, it doesn't quite ramp underneath those zip ties. But again, we're not talking about the design, we're talking about the steel here. So nothing there. We're now going to cut towards the EMT, simulating in very tight spaces, or you bump something because you're in a tight space. And we're actually just going to push cut right into the EMT like that in 3 different spots at random. And then we're going to come through here and we're going to slide our tip under and twist and pop this out. That'll kind of be like our edge stability in a way. So under and twist, under and twist. This is Procut 63 HRC, 18 degrees per side. It's now running, it was running about 15 thou BTE. It's running thinner. I thinned it out a little bit for a little bit more performance. So we're all good there. We're going to break down some cardboard. I have this lovely Ameribraid box. If you guys are knife makers and you haven't heard of Ameribraid, you should check out Ameribraid, because those guys are pretty awesome. This is the only dry piece of cardboard that I have sitting out here. The bite on this is actually pretty good. I tested another maker's 8670 earlier, and it didn't bite like this, but it bites. So we're going to do a whole bunch of cardboard slices. It's what most people use their EDC stuff for. Breaking down cardboard. Nothing special, really. This is just going to be a little bit of abrasive wear resistance. Here we go. And one of the things that I like to do on these tests are, this is still insane. Look for any edge deformations here. I see one little spot, and that's probably from the EMT. One thing that I love doing, and I did it in my previous test, was we're gonna do 5 cuts through Cat 5. This could be pretty abusive to an edge, which I had to do this in my old job. If I had to cut some cables out and something like that, and I didn't have my dikes, and I wasn't going to go to my car and get them and all that stuff. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. 5 cuts there. And now we're gonna do a couple other things. A little bit more abrasive wear. I have some dirty power cord that we're just gonna run through 5 times. 2, 3, 4, 5. There you go, 5 times through the dirty power cord. The power cord sat in a bucket of sand and dirt. And then I'm gonna go through and torture it even more with sandy, dirty, natural jute. I can actually hear the sand falling off of this. So we're gonna punish this a little bit more. 3, 4. I think I'm losing that sharpness at the belly. 5. There we go. 5 on our dirty, nasty jute. One thing that I come across a lot in my EDC life is saran wrap. So we got some saran wrap here. We'll try to go this way. Oh yeah, like it. Not even there. So we'll always try to do spine first along there. That did great. That did amazing. Let's test it. Let's see what happened. Probably should be at the point of needing to sharpen this, but yep, there it is. So yeah, we definitely have some. This did better than 8670, and I'm not going to share the 8670 until I do my own 8670, just because it's not fair that it was another maker's 8670, but not absolutely terrible. That's right. Always wipe off your edge too before you do your sharpness. Actually, well, catch it in a few spots, but that's not bad. Can I still shave with it in places at all? I got popped 1 hair. I popped 2 hairs. So not terrible. Let me look at that edge. I don't really see any major damage to it, which is pretty impressive. So the only way we're gonna know how good this is by comparing it to other steels. So we'll try to get I have some of my personal 4V that I can run this up against and see how 4V does. But thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back with more gauntlet tests.